Retention due to the melanin, the shade in the skin. The more large somebody is, the more diabetic they are, the more insulin obstruction they have, the less vitamin D they will retain, and likewise where they reside. In the event that they inhabit a high scope in the north, they're not going to get a lot of profound, and it's practically difficult to get vitamin D from your eating regimen. Individuals are likewise more mindful that their hereditary qualities have a major play in vitamin D2. There are quite a large number, various qualities that an individual can have an issue with, that either makes it challenging to change into the active type of vitamin D, or simply ingest nutrient D, and I have that issue myself. Then, at that point, if someone has an infection, microorganisms can minimize vitamin D receptors and block the ingestion vitamin D as a means of overcoming your resistant framework. In the event, at one time, I had zero awareness about the significance of nutrients and what they did on our bodies, particularly vitamin D. I may have heard of it. Perhaps you get it from the sun, from the foods for which I lacked vitamin D information. Also, it simply wasn't even on my radar. However, over the long run, when I acquired information about vitamin D, it is the most significant nutrient out of the multitude of nutrients. In light of the fact that, assuming that you're insufficient, yet your invulnerable framework doesn't work, you will have irritation. You can have a wide range of problems with digestion, sleep, and the list continues forever and on. However, they may know a portion of the normal motivations behind why the majority of the population lacks in vitamin D. Stomach irritation, no gallbladder. As we age, our skin becomes thicker. We can't ingest vitamin D from the sun. The hazier the skin is, the less vitamin D. That somebody has a fatty liver, smoking, or they consume sugar, or they go through pressure, they will retain less vitamin D. In the event that they're on a statin or on a low-fat diet, they won't get a lot vitamin D. In the event that there's contamination in the air, or regardless of whether they're getting such a large number of omega-6 and saturated fats with the dirt oil, the corn oil, the canola oil, that will block vitamin D. Yet I need to discuss 7 things that you presumably have never knew about, and they're very intriguing, and they're vital to know. Number 1. The vast majority of adverse effects that happen when you take vitamin D. Okay, and I will show them. Weariness, sleep deprivation, obstruction, looseness of the bowels, skin rash, sickness, migraine, torment. All could happen assuming you're low in magnesium. Is such an insignificant mineral in relationship to vitamin D. It assists it with working better. And if you're lacking in magnesium, which a part of individuals are vitamin D might give you additional issues, or more specifically, if taking in more vitamin D can overstate an all-around inadequate circumstance with magnesium. Now, obviously the incidental effect from extremely enormous sums of vitamin D over numerous months, possibly making hypercalcemia, could give you kidney stones. Yet this is very rare, and I believe this is the most likely the greatest trepidation. They don't understand that you'd need to take a ton more over a considerable amount of time prior you got kidney stones or hypercalcemia. Also, on the off chance that you're taking magnesium and other factors connected with this vitamin D like K2, the chances of you getting hypercalcemia, excessive levels of calcium in the blood, indeed even lower yet. Drinking a smidgen more water, about 2.5 liters per day, can actually nearly dispense with the development of kidney stones in light of the fact that kidney stone structure when there's a super concentrated measure of this calcium in the pee. So on the off chance that your pee is so weakened it cannot be extremely concentrated. Second, taking vitamin D rarely works somewhat better than consistently. So in the event that we analyze requiring 10000 IS of vitamin D consistently as an upkeep portion, and you, all things considered, did 50000 IS 1 time per week, or 2 times a week, that might be more suitable for you. which is advantageous because individuals neglect to take vitamin D and they believe it will be super beneficial if I take it on the off chance that you few times each week. And the answer is yes. Recall, vitamin D is a fat-dissolvable nutrient, so when it goes in the body, it gets put away in the fat cells. Also, it very well may be delivered over the long haul. Dislike a water-dissolvable nutrient like a portion of the B nutrients and nutrient C, that you would need to take those on a regular schedule. The following thing that individuals try not to acknowledge is this. When you consume like homestead-raised fish, which I would not joke about, this not terrible, but not great either. Normal in calves, and you just need to begin perusing the marks. Ranch-raised fish has multiple times less vitamin D. Also, cod fish grain took care of creatures contrasted with grass. Took care of creatures have considerably less vitamin D and chickens and pigs that are free to roam outside and ready to escape the outbuilding. And they're presented to the sun, have significantly more vitamin D than these pigs and chickens that are bound to a design. In truth, when a pig or a chicken and doesn't get to see the sunshine, they're like multiple times less vitamin D. Okay, number 4. Which is incredibly interesting. Out of the multitude of variables that can move along your well-being, alright, vitamin D is behind eating a sound eating regimen and exercise. Alright, number 5. Nutrient D2, which is principally you need to procure a prescription, is altogether different than nutrient D3. In reality, nutrient D2 in certain examinations have deteriorated MS alright versus nutrient D3 has made Miss lupus, another greatly better immune system infection, impacted by D2, yet it is with D3. The examinations in nutrient D2 do not lower mortality, but they do. The studies with nutrient D3 do, and taking nutrient D2 can really hinder the ingestion of nutrient D3. Okay, next point. Okay, certain individuals when they go out, what's more, get openness to the sun. They think that they're getting a ton of vitamin D while they're getting presented to the sun for, like, 10 minutes. So, suppose, best care situation, you're youthful, you don't have any of these additional obstacles, ingestion, vitamin D, and you're uncovering a ton of your skin to the sun for about 10 minutes, you're simply going to get 400 IU. Utilize the vitamin D. That is extremely low sums. So understand that it takes somewhat more openness to sun to get enough vitamin D. Okay, and last point that I believe is extremely significant since many individuals take nutrient D3. Furthermore, they don't understand that corn is being used by manufacturing companies. Syrup to vitamin D. As a matter of fact, the producing organization that I work with in Europe, essentially, told me with a high assurance that I was the only one to ask or demand a vitamin D item without corn syrup. And I would think a comparative thing is going on in the US. However, I don't be aware, without a doubt. So when you get a vitamin D item, ensure they try not to add the corn syrup or the maltodextrin, since it has become so obvious. Those 7 elements. I need to take your heightened awareness. If you haven't seen this video in vitamin D, you ought to look at it. I put it up here.